Hey kids! Welcome to another episode of the Alan Parks Project. I'm Alan Parks. Today I'm going to show you how to wrap cables correctly. Yes, there's a correct way to wrap cables, and there's an incorrect way. Well, there's a lot of incorrect ways to wrap cables. Hopefully you don't do it, but you you might. That might be why you're here, or you're just curious, or whatever. Anyway, how many times have you done this, or have you seen this? You finished with your show or whatever, and you're done with your stuff, and you just wrap your cables up like that, and you, you, you throw it in your bag. Okay, this is a bad way to wrap up your cables. What we have inside of here, inside of the outside rubber casing, is you have a bunch of fine wires. They're braided together, but they're fine wires. It's not a big solid thick cable, or it'd be stiff. And a lot of flexing and twisting up your cables will actually break those wires eventually. It's all janky here. It's all twisted. So you want to avoid that. Maintain good cable health. So I don't know if you noticed, I didn't call it out, but as soon as I pulled this out, I started making sure that the ends were screwed on tight, because sometimes they just loosen up. It's just good cable health. When you're plugging in your instrument, just check those. When you're putting it away, just check them. Okay, a lot of times cables will break somewhere near the end, within the last 6 inches of the end or so, just from being flexed, from being in a guitar or a bass, or being plugged into an amplifier, anything like that. It just happens, and at that point, you cut off the end and you resolder the jack back on, and your cable's a foot shorter. This will just help maintain a little bit of health. Okay, so this method of wrapping cables is kind of an over-under thing. What it really is a flattened out figure eight. For every twist you do one direction, you do a twist the opposite direction. And it keeps the cable from getting wrapped into itself. The actual inside conductors will twist up inside the actual outside. So I'm going to slow down and show you how I did that. But one of the nice effects is when you're done with that, you should be able to toss your cable out. Yep, it laid out smooth and flat. So no kinks, no twists, no knots. Sometimes knots happen, but here it goes. Okay, so the way we're going to do this is I start it by hold the jack in my hand with the cable facing away from me, pointing out that way. So anyway, and I do my first wrap, twisting. I twist my hand over the top. Okay, so I'm rolling the actual cable between my fingers. And then the next bit I take, I'm going to roll it underneath. So I'm actually twisting this direction. Instead of that way, I'm twisting this direction. And it lays over the back of my hand. See how it's railing over the back of my wrist? And then I put it up there. So I'm going to go over, and then I'm going to go under. And I'm not even really physically twisting. I'm just getting it to lay this direction. You want to start out without any kinks in it. Just start out flat. It really works. Okay, go over, you go under, over, and then under. Okay, let me do that again one more time for you. Closer to the camera. Okay, twisting over, twisting under, twisting over, twisting under. Then you just continue doing that. What I suggest you do is get a guitar cable out, get a nice long one out, or a mic cable, a good 20 footer or so. And then one evening, while you're watching TV, not really doing anything with your hands, you put the Cheetos away for a minute, practice wrapping your cable for an evening, just for half an hour, for an hour. Just do it until it's mindless, and it'll last you the rest of your life. Wrap all your cables like that. They won't get tangled as well as easily. They won't get knots in them. They're easier to deal with. So it's really worth learning. One last thing you probably noticed here, I have Velcro ties on all of my cables. You can get these. You can spend a lot of money on them that are specifically made for musical instrument cables and such. Don't do it. Go to Home Depot. Find where they keep the Velcro, which is over by the cabinet hardware usually, and get some Velcro ties. I mean, this one's kind of a fancy one, but you can get them that come in a roll of like 20 or 30 or 50 for a few bucks, and put them on all of your cables. This way, if you do the nice wrap on it, and then you use a cable tie on the end of it, you can throw these in your bag, and they don't tangle together. They stay separate. You can find them easily. You can pull out one instead of the whole wad. You know how that goes. Really worth your time. So sit down and, like practicing your instrument, learn a new skill, learn how to wrap your cables nicely, and it'll take care of you for the rest of your life. Hopefully your cables will last that long. So learn to wrap cables nicely, and your cables will be nice to you. Okay, we'll see you next time. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. That would be really great. I'd love to do a Q&A session sometime. And please hit like, hit subscribe, tell your friends, take out a billboard, get skywriting, say, watch the Alan Parks Project. Okay, that's probably too extravagant. But anyway, subscribe. That would be cool. Okay? See y'all next time. Thanks.